Hey y'all, I'm Qurissy and welcome back to Photographer Life Check, where we check in about all things image making. Today we have the illustrious visual artist, Loren Toney. Loren, thank you so much for being here. Before we get into all the juicy details, though, let's jump straight into the photography check like we always do. Please let the people know what you got on, how you coming today.
Period. So before I even really get into it, I'm working on not always wearing hats on my head. I love a hat, but it's giving like hiding that I'm balding, and that is not the situation. You know what I'm saying? But a hat is a hat.
Okay.
I love the hat. It is like this tapestry kind of situation.
Yeah,
Hat.
that's so pretty.
Don't ask me about the sports. I'm just here for the vibes.
Okay, because I was like, New York. Okay.
I have no clue. I feel bad when I say that. I really like the logo. I used to work at Urban Outfitters, so this is where I got this from. I have this really fun thrifted bracelet from this place called watch from this place called Vintage House in Chicago. I have a kind of like a Met Gala jacket situation. I'm gonna step back for the people.
Period. Yeah, let the people see it. Come on, bomber. Yes.
I got it
Or maybe
from
we should have. Oh my God, I haven't been to Paxson in a minute. I used to run it down in Paxson. Oh my God.
I used to love Paxson. I also have not been there in a minute, but it's been a couple of years. So I got a hoodie from Free People. It's super heavy. I love that. It feels like a weighted blanket. This top is just a plain brown tee from Notre in Chicago. It's a cool little street shop. One of my favorite belts ever.
I love this.
Situation is situationing. Anthropology.
Come on, Anthro.
Black pants. I think are from Uniqlo. And I got on some Doc Marten loafers from Doc Marten.
Come on. Like, if y'all ever seen Loren for real, I was gonna say in real life, but honestly, online too, you know she be fitted. So I shouldn't expect it nothing less. Let's go.
I'm grateful. Oh, and my starry patch for my pimple.
Oh, cute.
But no, yeah, I appreciate that. And every time I see you, you look lovely. So the feeling's mutual. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Photography check for me is much more basic. I'm in the bedroom right now, but after this, I'm going to the gym. So I have on the gym outfit.
Nice.
But I do love these glasses. That's what I was about to say. I got these from Zulu.
Nice.
And a cutesy little fun fact, me and my little sister got the same pair of glasses, but we did not do it on purpose or at the same time. I just showed up one day and I was like, you got my glasses? And she was like, these my glasses. And I was like, oh my God, twin.
I'm howling. Are you the younger sister or the older sister?
No, I'm in the middle.
Oh, okay. For real.
Yes,
you really like, wow, you got my glasses.
Yeah, pray for me. If you know anything, you know what I'm saying? I can use any prayer I could get, okay?
I just something. I got you.
Thank you. And I know you're on the main line, so I appreciate that. Okay, so for those who don't know Loren Toney, she's that girl. I mean, y'all could probably tell by now just the photography check alone. But for real, Loren, I've been such a huge fan of your work for years and years now. You already know. So I'm happy to finally have you here. This is going to be so wonderful for me, very specifically.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we're able to have this conversation because I think our little meet cute at the little situation in the bathroom, people don't need to know, but like just between me and you, I was like, that interaction is something that's been giving me life for weeks now. So
that is something for like an Insecure episode. Like that was kind of crazy.
I love it.
It was the sweetest little craziest thing.
In a similar way, like just so excited that we get to talk and yap about art, photography, and other things. So thanks for having me, sincerely.
Absolutely. So in doing this research, I've researched every single person for every single episode because this is very special and important to me. I found your bio and I loved it. I like how you wrote it, but one line in particular stood out to me. And I'm not going to read the whole bio. I'm just going to read the line. And it says, my aim is for each photo to be reminiscent of a movie still. Hence the tagline, cinematic imagery that moves you. Love it. So, wondering a few things from this. I mean, it's obvious to me. For those who don't know, who might be watching for the first time, we show all of our guests' work throughout the episode. So you will see an example of this very soon. But before I pull that up, I'm wondering if you are interested in being a cinematographer.
I love that question. I actually went to school to be a cinematographer. Little lesser known fact. I went to Columbia originally to be an animator. Crazy business. I love Disney movies. I grew up loving animation, appreciating it deeply. I took a 3D animation class and I said, oh, I'm not built for this. And so
It's hard.
It's so hard. I was in Maya like, girl, I don't understand what's going on. And I had already like done photography and I was just like, I have to switch majors into something else. And so I was like, I can do photography. I'll have a minor in that, but I want to have another skill set in case, you know, life is lifing. And I took a camera seminar class where we learned like old film cameras and I literally fell in love. And so I have a bachelor's in cinematography with a minor in photography, actually. So
the icon that you are.
I appreciate you. I'm screaming.
I also, cinematography is hard. I was gonna go on a little tangent. I also wanted to be an animator at a point. But I had an opportunity to take a class in high school and I too was like, maybe I just have the idea of the cartoon and somebody else needs to be the maker, because that is such a hard class. Even the girlies that know Blender now, I'm like, y'all are still so impressive. My brain is not computing. But yes, cinematography is so difficult. Remembering and learning all the glass, like being that technical, is not natural for my brain.
I'm so glad you said that. That is similarly to how I felt. Like I left Columbia realizing that if I wanted to be in film, I make more sense as a director than I do as a cinematographer. And that's mostly because I am not a technical person in the brain at all. I'm all about the visuals, I'm all about the feeling, but the exposure triangles, the lighting ratios, it's overwhelming a little. So yeah,
totally overwhelming. I also appreciate how you said that, because it's very much just like, let's just know who you are. I mean, if you really want to be a cinematographer, you could still do that. I think in fact, I think I had one guest on here that was not a technical cinematographer, but she was like, I know a vibe, I got a feeling, I can work with somebody else to help me name certain things. Like I retain certain information, but I don't pressure myself into knowing everything. And I was like, appreciate you. Thank you for being an example of that. But I do also appreciate you being like, what's a good trajectory for me that one I'll feel happy in, because there's a certain amount of ease or comfortability that comes with me knowing where I belong on set. And I would be happy as a director. You know what I mean? Like, this is fine for me. I'm into that.
No, that's so real. And that I want to talk to that a little bit if there's people out there that want to be cinematographers that don't vibe with lighting as much. Like I think I'm compositionally minded and some EPs are compositionally minded. And just like you said, if you want to be a cinematographer and you feel that way, you just got to find a really dope gaffer that you locked in with who's like, I know the lighting for you. And I think that's something I love about filmmaking in and of itself is there's so much collaboration and there's always a way to supplement whatever your skill set is with another person's skill set. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I forget that that's also an option.
I think that's a great way to put it too, because I mean, obviously filmmaking at large is incredibly collaborative and directors and cinematographers get a lot of credit and they do a lot of work. But without all of the other people on set, whether it's a huge budget or a small budget, none of this is getting made how it should. So it's an incredibly collaborative industry in sport even. And so where you lack, you should have somebody else on set that's their strength. In fact, that might be all they do.
That's true. I'd argue it's all of the director is to hire all the people that do the things you can't do, you know? And I love that. I love it.
Yeah, honestly, that is the job of the director. Because you got vision, but somebody needs to have the technical skill.
Yep. 100%.
So I had the privilege of witnessing all of your technical skills on a project that you're currently working on that you, should I say, debuted?
Debuted is a fair assessment. Yeah, that's a fair word. Yeah.
Okay. Debuted at the Winter Work session in Chicago with Meet Creatively. Shout out to that. Come on. It is called Vignettes, and I'm going to pull it up now. And it is in part, while I was there and I was witnessing this, I was like, oh, some of these images I've seen before, and it's some of those images are the reason I fell in love with your work. But like I said, it's called Vignettes, and it's dedicated to watching Black men grow old. Can you please describe some of this while I pull it up so that people can see?
For sure. Let's see. Okay. I always like to use that first image of myself because that is when I began that project in 2018. Vignettes is something that is so near and dear to my heart, and I've talked about it a million bajillion times, but I never get tired of talking about it. So back in 2018, I took a documentary photography class taught by Dawood Bey, who is an incredible photographer and professor at Columbia. And I didn't really know what I wanted to make work about. And I've always been the kind of person that had really big feelings, and I respond to those big feelings by creating. And at the time, police brutality against Black men was being widely publicized in a way that I had not seen in my own lifetime, via social media, on the news, everywhere. And it started to scare me. Honestly,
Yeah.
I believed that I couldn't conceptualize how people saw Black men differently than I saw Black men. And in an instinct, I began to photograph Black men that I knew personally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started with the photos that we were just looking at of my nephew, Evan. He is also someone I deeply dedicate this project to because I was like the youngest sibling. So my nephew felt like a little brother to me when we lived in the house together.
Mm-hmm.
And so the work that I've created has grown as long as he's been in my life, which is really lovely. And so I've gotten to document him as he's grown old. And so where the project stands now is I photographed him, his younger brother, Jeremiah, my friend, Jared, my father. And then I kind of dropped the project. I had graduated college. I didn't really know what to do with it. And then 5 years later, I had the weird little kooky idea to rephotograph everyone in the same environment that they were in the first time we photographed. And so now you get these diptychs of side-by-side images of these Black men as they age. And so I also had them write letters to their past selves. And so I want to continue to do this. And what I debuted at Winterworks is, you know, politically, the world is really scary right now in a similar way that it was in 2018 for me. And it's scary for a lot of different demographics, whether you're a woman, whether you're queer, whether you're an immigrant, everyone's stories need to be told. And so now I want to continue to do this and just kind of dedicate my life's work to watching people from vulnerable identities grow old, and they write letters to themselves. So now when I photograph you the first time, you write a letter to your future self. And then 2 years later, because 5 years was an accident, that is a long haul to do that again. 2 years later, we'll meet again in a safe space that you've chosen. You write a letter to your past self, photograph you, and you get these really cool conversations between who you were when we started and where you are now. And yeah, and the last thing is I want them to live on as advice books for people. A lot of people are looking for guidance, and sometimes you can't get that guidance from your friends, your partners, the people that you know personally. Sometimes, weirdly enough, you need to hear that guidance from a complete stranger. But I think there's beauty in having shared vulnerability with people who aren't in the same room together, but went through the same process. And it helps more people feel safe to share, helps people realize they're not alone. So that's my very long spiel on what the project is. But I always feel like the context matters, so I like to give it.
The context is the most important thing to me. I appreciate the breakdown. I just want to call out, the computer was shaking. I have a little janky setup. We're on a windowsill, so if you saw the computer shaking at this time or another, that is what's happening. I'm taking notes. I take notes every episode. Further, you mentioned the letter writing. I'm going to bring up the photos back and forth as we're talking about this. But in the letter writing, are they sharing the letters with you, either by giving them to you or like reading them aloud? Is it an option? Is it required?
That's a really great question. I am a very consent-forward person.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, I always offer people the option to, if they want their letter to be anonymous, they don't sign it. If you want your letter to be a part of your vignette and you want people to know it was yours, you'll sign it. That's the first thing. The second thing is it actually lives in a little notebook that I take around everywhere. It's like a little purple, cute little notebook. And all of the letters live there. And people do read them aloud to me. I usually ask them to if they feel comfortable to. I feel like that's a good part of the process because they get to like release it. And also it doesn't feel like I asked them to be vulnerable without like hearing them out.
Yeah.
So they do that. And then lastly, something that happened recently is I've had people ask for me to redact certain things. That's something that I want to bring up in case people want to be a part of this project. If you write something in the heat of the moment and later on you're like, actually, I don't want that in there.
Everybody don't need to know that.
Everybody don't need to know that. I'm not ready to tell people that right now. I will cross it out. I have edited things out, whatever needs be.
Beautiful.
But that is what the letters look like. They live in a notebook that everybody passes around, which I also think helps because then people get to kind of look through other people's letters too if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that looks like.
Beautiful. I really appreciate people that are consent forward, especially in image making. So much of it is a very vulnerable process in and of itself. And then I can imagine, some of the things that might be in a letter to your future self and in a letter to your past self. A lot of life happens in a year. So in 5 years, I can imagine like a whirlwind of emotions potentially coming through from them seeing these old photos and like seeing themselves in the new version. And you don't really tend to see the way you age, all the ways you can age in 5 years, but in a photograph, you can really see all the details and the differences. And particularly because you photographed some of these men at quite a young age that like now they've stepped into a version of adulthood or their teen life that you're like, the visible change is so drastic that, I just imagine it can stir up some emotions. And there might be some vulnerable pieces in there. But shout out to the men that, are one, being honest with themselves and allowing themselves to redact certain things, and two, being vulnerable enough to share those things with everybody else.
100%. I always think about how brave they are in allowing themselves to be a part of a large project like this.
Yeah.
Like something that I'm committing to doing and like hopes to put into a book. Like that's a big deal. Or just allowing me to show this to different groups of people all the time. Very, very grateful for them and grateful for everybody that's always willing to participate. So, yeah.
Yeah. This leads me into my next question. You already described the project, but in this artist statement, you mentioned Vignettes offers the opportunity for Black men to accept the role of collaborator instead of subject. And so that made me curious about what you're hoping to offer your participants by encouraging them through collaboration.
That's a really great question. I think at its core, when creating this project, I thought about how much of a Black man's experience to a stranger is based on preconceived notions. And so the collaborative aspect is you're writing your own narrative, and I'm photographing you in the light that I see you in, but I also realize that even my perspective of you isn't enough. How you feel about you is enough, and how you want to show up is enough. More than enough, more than my images will ever do. I am the vessel for people to see you, but your words and the way in which you are relating to yourself is so pivotal. And that is a big thing. I will be completely honest, I've also been sitting with the fact that I really want to think of ways to give back to the people that are participating in ways that either giving them a print of themselves. Like, I've really thought about this, where I want to figure out a way where they are actively collaborating outside of picking their safe space, wearing what they want to wear, and letting me know if they're like, hey, that photo, I don't want to be in the project, you know? And that's a big part of what I think the collaboration is, and their ability to redact anything that they don't want. Essentially, I think sometimes with documentary projects, it's kind of like, in the past, people have been, you know, it's my vision. What I want out in the world is what people are going to see. But I think the nature of this work is so, it has to be collaborative or it doesn't serve the purpose of the mission of the project.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly thinking about other people's comfort. At any point, if they want to redact, they can do that. But I've been thinking heavily. I think actually Daoud, my professor, used to give people Polaroids in exchange for being a part of the project, which I think is really beautiful and really wonderful, because they leave with something instead of me just taking something. And I'm really glad that you asked the question, because it is something that I definitely want to integrate back into when I continue this project. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. I hope that answered the question.
Definitely. And I think if I was your subject in this example, I think I would feel more like a collaborator than just a participant or like a sitter for this shot or something like that. Outside of you collecting my actual story, I think the involvement you've required to be in this project is a really good example, are really good examples of collaboration. We're getting into the images now. This project brought up a lot of feelings for me, I think, the basis of itself. So it began as an effort to deconstruct the harmful stereotypes associated with Black male masculinity. And you mentioned that both in your artist statement and in the examples. And we have kids that are a part of this, and these kids are also in your family. And we know that Black kids, especially Black boys, can be adultified quite young from others and our own. Black men and Black women are also adultifying little Black boys and girls all the time. This is a really deep question, I think, and it could be very personal. So if it's too much, we can skip it. But I was curious, did you begin this project with someone in mind with the hopes that you were trying to save from that adultification? Or if they were already an adult, that you were trying to save from some of that harm that can happen?
I love that question because I've never thought about this. I think because when I started the project, there was a sense of fear attached to it, quite frankly. And I will also be really honest. When I first started this, I was a young adult. I was in college. And a lot of the work was reactive instead of proactive. And I think there was a sense of, in its initial stages, wanting to show Black men extremely positively, which I also think is harmful. I actually, like, I don't want to make it seem like, I think any end of any spectrum is not helpful, because these people are human and we're going to do things that we're not proud of. And so I think in the beginning, I wasn't making this from a conscious point of view, to be quite frank. Now, I will say, I feel as though this was being made for my nephew, for Evan. I think, yeah, Evan is the one who is the older brother, who is right there. Yeah. I saw the little boy he was. So kind, so sweet. And I wanted to preserve that. And I wanted that to be something that people could see in Black men, regardless if they knew them or not. And I think it's harder for people to imagine, because I actually, during the time I was in school, like, Trayvon Martin had previously, like, recently passed. And so I think that was in my head, where I'm like, we'll even do this to little Black boys. And so Evan felt like the perfect ode of, I love you, and I see you this way, and I know who you are, and I know what your heart looks like. you're the perfect person to watch grow old for this project. I know you deeply since you were a little boy. So I think it was a want to protect and preserve his innocence and allow him to be a little boy without feeling like he had to be considered a man. I love that you brought this up too, because he just turned 17, which is so wild, because when I was photographing him, he was like 7. So
that's crazy.
So wild. But when I wrote his birthday post, I literally made it a mission to make sure I said that I love the boy you are, and I can't wait to see the young you become, because he is a child. He is 17 years old. That is not a grown man.
Exactly.
And I think that Black people, especially Black boys, should be allowed to be kids as long as they need to be and they want to be. And even into adulthood, their innocence and their softness and all of that should be preserved. Because at the end of the day, we all just big kids, you know?
Let me attest.
No, literally, I'm a big kid.
Yes.
So it was definitely for Evan. I think Evan was at the forefront of my mind.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Evan. We clearly love you over here, Erin. Shout out to Auntie Loren. Yes.
That's my
I had a very emotional reaction to that when I was like, oh, that's so crazy, because I have a niece who just turned 16 and a nephew who's 10. And when I first found your work, and actually one of the baby pictures we'll see later on in this deck, it reminded me so much of my nephew, who at that time was probably, between like 5 and 7 or something. And it was just like, I saw him. I see him in a lot of little boys. And I want so badly for children to remain children. And it is a deep pain to me that children get adultified. And I mean, so many of our peers were adultified children, and that be their problem, you know? And I can really see the children in most of my friends, if not all of them. And I think that it is multifaceted. Like, sometimes that's such a beautiful thing. You found your inner child, you're still close with your inner child, and you allow them to come out. You allow them to be safe with me. Wow, like, that's so special to me. But then on the flip side of that, I can also see, like, in what ways is that child still alive in you that needs nurturing, that was adultified too soon, that is throwing a tantrum right now? And so being able to see your nephew Evan and then the other men throughout your project, I feel like I'm seeing my nephew, my friend, my partners, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm seeing all these different people at different points in their life. And it is, I guess, honestly, just like a bit of a romance to be witnessing these different versions, and potentially like this could be Trevor when, like, Evan could be Trevor when Trevor was 7, type of thing.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you feel that way. That is the goal. The goal is you're seeing all these men that are at different age ranges, and we talk about it all the time, like, being Black is not a monolith. That's true, but there's also a lot of shared experience. That's not something we can ignore. And so it's really wonderful to be able to, I want people to see their nephew and their brother and their husband and their uncle and their cousin in these people that I'm photographing, which is why even when I first started the project, I picked people that are very different types of Black men. Like, you have a little Black boy, you have Trevor, who is, smoking a joint in his crib.
Let's bring out Trevor. Trevor, come out here.
Literally. Trevor is kicking it. We got my friend Jared, who's in the Naval Academy, and my father, who is a cowboy, and I wanted to show the different types of Black men that exist. And no matter how many Black men I photograph, I'll never be able to touch every archetype or human being, because they're all multifaceted and those things cross over. Like, people would see Trevor and not realize this man was a whole nerd in high school. I hate to put him on blast, but super smart, so smart. And it irritates me that there are preconceived notions from people about what a smart Black man looks like. You know what I'm saying? That always felt weird to me. And I just think like he was rapping, he used to act on stage, he was part of a speech team, like just a very multifaceted dude, and honestly incredibly social in a wonderful way where he could blend into any group he needed to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? And these are the types of conversations that drove me to make this project, because I'm like, people who see Black men as a threat don't think about none of that at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I agree with what you were saying in the sense that I want it to feel universal. I want people to see themselves in the project. I want people to investigate themselves when they watch the project or take the project in. And I want to inspire other people to see other people tell their story and say, you know what, I want to do that too. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that reflection.
Of course.
I wanted to zoom in on the letter and use it as an example of what some folks have written. I think it's beautiful that it's an addition here too, so we can see also this person's handwriting. I love handwriting. I love holding on to other people's handwriting. So it's really sweet to me to have a handwritten letter from your participants just right here for people to see. But this makes me think about earlier, I think it was your artist statement that you mentioned. You mentioned you had conversations about fear with all of your participants. And I think that that's interesting that that came up. I mean, it makes sense for the time, especially around Trayvon Martin. And I'm wondering, were there any common fears that came up between a few people?
So to clarify in the statement, it was more so all types of topics came up. We don't like structure it. It kind of happens the way it happens. And it's hard because a lot of the Black men that I photographed for this project, it's been a while since we had those conversations. And so I think a lot of the conversations that I was having with my friends from high school was just like that conversation of aging and changing almost. And maybe that isn't a fear per se, but more so it's interesting and it brings up a lot of feelings to see photos of yourself from 5 years ago. And particularly like Jared, he had just freshly joined the Navy and then after graduated the Naval Academy. And so he was reflecting a lot on how he had changed since then. We talked a lot about that. But as far as universal fears that came up between people, I can't say that there were universal fears, honestly. Yeah, I don't think that there were universal fears. I think we were talking so much about people's personal experience that it was just case by case.
Yeah, beautiful. That's okay. And we're gonna bring it back. Joining the team. Look it. We have more pictures of Evan. One, I think you mentioned earlier you're a very compositional type of storyteller, and I think that is very clear in your work. I love how it feels like I'm getting to know every person here. It almost feels like they're a character in a movie. Which shout out to that cinematic, excuse me, importance that you have in image making. This is actually the photo that I think of when I think of my nephew. I feel like I've seen him like this so many times. And this is also one of the images I saw very early on when I first saw your work or was first introduced to your work, that I was like, yo, who is this? That one and this one.
For sure. If you could go back up to those are some of my favorite images, like the ones of Jeremiah. I think that when I was working on this project, the ones of Jeremiah and maybe the ones of Trevor felt the most indicative of what I was trying to do. Like I wanted that warm light to hit them all the time. So there's always like areas in the images that are like low key a little bit way too bright intentionally, but that is how I see these men, like their auras, because I know them. I'm like, you were such a shining star of a human. And so that is something that I try to intentionally do in the work all the time, is like there's always some type of really bright light source on them. But yeah, I love to say that because it's a fun part of the whole project.
I think maybe for me, that's the reason it feels very real. It feels like I can place myself into the scene because it isn't too perfect. Jared, your high school friend who was in the Naval Academy, I love, love, love seeing the images like this. This was on purpose or it happenstance?
This was on accident, which is wild to my brain because even
So
down
good.
to the trees to the cloud being that like orb shape is something that, and I talk about this often with photography. I think that you can learn things and you can be technically skilled and you can know exposure, but there's also a really beautiful part of photography that is just luck and happenstance and being in the right place and the joy of finding something. And I think that mirrors life, but completely accidental to have those compositions side by side like that. I also think there's something wonderful about, being an artist and your instincts being the same, but you learn different skills so the images read different. Another part of my favorite part of this project is I get to see how I've grown as an image maker.
Yeah.
And by happenstance as an individual, because the life I've lived in the last 5 years also impacted the way these photos look.
Yeah.
But my instincts were still the same. So it's really fun to know that, like, being an artist, and this is me, I always give a little bit of unsolicited advice, is my whole thing. But like for artists that don't necessarily, they're not in love with the way that their work looks now, you have good instincts and you have good taste. You just gotta keep doing it until your tastes match up with your instincts. Your skill sets match up with. But yeah.
I feel like I read once or maybe saw a video once that somebody said it's actually a great thing when you can't make what you envision because it lets you know that you have taste and all you need to do is keep practicing to get your skill up.
100%. I read the same thing and I'm like, I love that y'all put into words what I think a lot of people find frustrating. But yeah, no, those are
incredible accidents, mind you. But can we get into Mr. Toney? I need to know this cowboy.
Yeah.
So, is his name really Toney?
It is. My father's name is Anthony Toney.
Okay, Anthony Toney.
Literally Tony. He doesn't seem like a real human sometimes. Like it's so cool. Like I tell people all the time when we go to weddings, when we're at funerals, where we're dressed up, this man is in a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. He is a cowboy through and through. So yeah, that's my dad.
Does your dad enjoy being photographed?
Does my dad enjoy being photographed? I think my dad doesn't mind being photographed in general, but with his horses, he loved being photographed. Honestly, sometimes it's hard for me to look at these, even though they're some of my favorite images from the project. My dad is older and has broken a lot of bones from riding a lot of horses. He no longer can ride horses again. Which is so sad because he's one of the only people I have not re-photographed from the original 5 or 6 people. And I'm trying to think, like, how do I photograph my father now? Because this was such a major part of his life and he no longer can do that, which I think of all the time. I'm like, do I need to become a cowgirl in his steed? Like, do I need to pick up horseback riding? Because it just doesn't feel right to not photograph him again with a horse of some sort. So yeah, there's that.
I mean, is that y'all family stable?
It isn't. He used to hold his horses somewhere else in Indiana. And I'm sure we probably could get access to that space again. And I'm like, he had a pretty good relationship with those people. So maybe there's a way that they would let him like hang out with somebody's horse or something.
Yeah.
To be back in that space again. So yeah.
So did you grow up around horses with your dad?
I kind of did. Like, so this is the sad part. I'm kind of allergic. I hate it. I'm allergic to a lot of animals, but I love it. Yes. So, like, I'll get contact dermatitis, like, it'll make me itch, I'll break out.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I used to show up anyway. I was like, this is so cool. And, you know, dads are dads. It's sometimes hard to connect with a dad. But when my dad was doing something that he loved, he lit up in a way that I love to see. So I did hang out with him a lot while he was at the state, like at the ranch. And I deeply enjoyed that. So yeah, I did grow up around horses. My dad like raised horses from babies, which is really cool. So I saw him literally like train a horse from
Wow.
into being a full-blown horse, which is just incredible work to see, hard work, dangerous work. A lot of people don't realize how dangerous horses are. They're huge. They can kill you from kicking you. They can throw you off, but they're such beautiful animals. Like it's a privilege, I believe, to be that up close and personal with a horse. It's just amazing. It's cool.
Yeah. I think whatever you do next will be true. I don't intend to add my own storytelling to the images that do not exist yet. But the first thing that came to mind when you were like, I don't know how I'm going to recreate this with some horses since, you know, he isn't really around horses anymore. I think that is the truth of watching anybody grow old. It's like you lose some of the things that made you who you are. And I hate that. I was literally just having this conversation yesterday. It makes me so sad. Just for a little bit of context, the conversation was like, you know, like the truth of the matter is, as you grow older, life gets harder. I personally reject it. I said, no, I'm not going to have that as the story of my life. But I do understand the context. And the context was, it's like, as you grow older, you lose all of your favorite people, you lose some of your mobility potentially. And so no matter what, even if you work out every day to the day you die, there are things that you won't be able to do that you could do 20 years ago. And hopefully as you get older, that time just expands, right? And so when I heard that and it's like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do because things are changing for him in terms of how he can interact with the horse, the first image I saw in my head was him sitting in the middle of the stable and a horse somewhere all the way in the back. Cause I can't ride the horse no more. I can't wrangle the horse no more. I still love them. Maybe they still can be around me. Maybe they can't. But the truth of the matter is, if I get the privilege of growing old, there's something I won't be able to do anymore. And that makes me sad.
That's heartbreaking. I love that you brought this up. Because a lot of the people that I photographed outside of my dad, and maybe that's part of the reason on a psychological level, I'm like, I can't photograph. Like, because I'm processing my father growing old. My father is nearing 70. And so there is a lot of these people have been young folks.
Yeah.
And it is, I love what you're saying though, because that is a reality. And I love that conversation about, do we say that life gets harder as we age? I want to reject that too. I'm on your side where it's like, I can't deal with that. But I think that maybe the way I would put it now that I'm thinking about it is you find different things to be grateful for as you age, and you prioritize different things as you age. And maybe gratitude just becomes huge as you age. Like that seems like the thing of you're losing your favorite people, but think about all that time y'all spent. Or, hey, you can't ride horses anymore, but there's other ways, beautiful ways to spend your time, you know? Like volunteering or hanging out with your family or picking up new hobbies and discovering new parts of yourself that, you know, we never really had the opportunity to do when we were living life. But I love you adding your 2 cents about the storytelling aspect because I think that that is powerful, you know?
Yeah.
Man, that's making me think about so much. What's your philosophy? Like when you said that you rejected, I know this is not my podcast, but I really want to know what's your philosophy on when it comes to growing old, why you reject that so deeply? What's your thought process? How did you reply to it?
I think it's a couple different things. I think I do reject it in part because I think it is a hard truth in some regard. But I also don't believe that that has to be the case for anybody. I can only control my own actions. And what I think is that, yes, there's a lot of grief with growing old, and I don't have to be 80 to experience some of that grief. I've already experienced it now. And I think it is true that holding on to gratitude, finding ways to choose your joy, to choose laughter, to choose to still live is an important part to remain grounded, centered, and to get the most out of life to me. But also, most of the elders in my life didn't necessarily live like a healthy lifestyle. So I get to see what those types of choices can do to a body. And that is honestly the strongest driving force for me to choose to make different decisions in order to have an opportunity at a life that could look different. I do recognize that not everything is in my control, and I could be made immobilized by a lot of different reasons and not just like my diet or something, you know? But if I can have autonomy in some of my choices, that might help me feel like I'm living a joyful life when I'm 50, when I'm 70, when I'm 103, then I want to take ownership and participate in my life in a way that could give me that potential.
I love that.
Thanks.
I love that.
At least that's what I think would help me live a joyful life. I think there are a lot of other emotional aspects. I think there are financial aspects that help us live happy, joyful lives. But personally, I think if I could have a whole bunch of good food, some good laughs, some stability, some good people, and I could still have as many ways to feel like me in my body, I like to think that that would make me happy at 88.
I love that. And I love that reflection you were having about, it's something I think about often, where the life that we are capable to live is in due part based on the generational curses that were broken before us. And the things that we might not have fixed is our opportunity to say, hey, that's that thing that you didn't get to handle, but I'm going to handle that now. And I think that is a privilege, and I think a beautiful way to honor what the people before us did. Because
Absolutely.
we keep getting better and better with every generation. And I agree with you. When it comes to Black people and our joy and our prosperity, I try to be positive about it. I try to be honest about it. I think we can't act like it's all sunshine and rainbows, but we also have to move towards hope and not just focusing on the issue, but choosing a different life and showing that that's possible. So I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a beautiful place to take a break. I really appreciate you asking me a question. So we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Bridges Build Studios. Bridges Build Studios is a creative space where you can host your workshops and intimate events or plan your next photo shoot. This Latino-owned studio is located in the Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago, and you can find them on Instagram at Bridges Built Studios to book. Let's get back to the show. And we're back. So this is our next segment called The Gear Don't Matter. But I love this segment because it's all about the gear that we use. Of course, I say it all the time, every episode. One of the main things people ask image makers is, what camera are you using? As if the camera is taking the photo by itself. And that's okay, because we still do love our equipment that we use. Everything comes from our vision, but the tools that we have in our toolbox help us make the thing that we envision. So I'm curious, what's your favorite piece of equipment that you use? It doesn't have to be a camera, but it can be.
That's an incredibly hard question.
Yes.
Can I give a corny kind of answer?
Sure. I like corn.
My corny kind of answer is my favorite piece of equipment to use is the one I have on me.
Sure.
And the reason that I like to say that is some of my favorite photos I've ever made is on my iPhone. And that's because that thing is in my pocket and
it's a good camera.
Street, and everybody used to it. It's a good camera. It's a phone. It got a camera on it. I make wonderful images with that. That's my gut instinct answer. If you're asking me for real, I would say my EOS Canon 1V, which is a 35 millimeter film camera, but it takes the same lenses as my regular digital camera body. So I'm able to make images that look like my digital images, but on film stock, which is very fun for me.
Yeah. Incredible. We love it. Okay, on to the next segment called Photographs Not Taken. So there's a lot of context that comes with this segment because honestly, I'm trying to find the right way to ask the question to get the stories that I'm hoping for. So Photographs Not Taken got its namesake from a book called Photographs Not Taken, which is filled with essays from photographers, all types, of the photographs they wish they would have taken, but they didn't. Now, that could be for any reason. It could be ethical dilemma. It could just be a simple choice. It could be you missed the shot because like the camera was like a technical error. It could be you didn't have your camera on you. Whatever it is, I'm wondering about the images that live with you. Like you're walking down the street, you see the image in your head, but you didn't take it. Or you're in this moment with a person, you see the image in your head, but you didn't take it. And I would love if you can tell me what's your favorite photograph you wish you would have taken.
I love this question. And it's so hard for me to get.
Favorite question.
It's fantastic because I experience that feeling all the time where I'm like, dang, I should have took a photo. Okay. I can't answer this question just streamlined. I'm so sorry because I love that question so bad. So the first thing is, oftentimes if I decide not to take a photo, it's because I feel as though what I'm seeing is so happenstance or so beautiful that the moment it takes me to grab my phone or grab my camera takes away from the living experience of that thing. And as someone that makes so many images, there's sometimes where I'm like, wow, I just want to take that in. And usually living it. Because yeah, that's one of those. So something I will say, this is something that I've seen often. And it's kind of like a dual thing. I love images of people crying. But usually I would never photograph someone crying just because of the ethical background of that. But I think crying is such an intimate and beautiful thing that you don't oftentimes get to see other people do. Like it's almost something that even crying in public, people are like, whoa, that's something, right? But I think crying is a beautiful source of release and relief. And I love the way it looks visually, but I also love the way it feels. Secondarily, if it was not like young people can't consent to being photographed by a stranger, which is really complicated with like street photography and documenting the lives of people. But I love seeing young people in their innocence. And I usually don't photograph that because it's like, that's not my child. And if I do, I usually ask people's parents, like, can I photograph? And legitimately, if they say no, I walk away. But I love photographing young people. So if there's anything that I'm like, dang, I wish I would have had a photograph of that, it's like a kid being a kid. So full moment for this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I have one this episode because I just saw it a few days ago. I was on the back of a scooter and there was another couple on a scooter driving up right next to me. And it was at night, not too dark, maybe like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I looked down, guy in front, girl in the back. I know they're a couple because his hand is rubbing on her calf. He's like, with his thumb, he's doing the slightest little rub on her calf while they're driving. And she's just like leaned in on him, like head on the back of his neck and on the back of his shoulders kind of thing. And I was like, oh, this is the best picture. And I tried to take it. I was like, oh my God. But I'm also on the back of a scooter. So I'm like trying to get my phone out. I'm like, oh my God. and I just missed it. They ended up like zooming off, but it was like a scene in a romance novel. I was like, this is the tenderest little moment. I want a close up on the hand, just ever so slightly, like caressing her leg. It was so sweet and so tender. And I wish I could have taken that photo.
I love that. I can see the rom-com now. Or the insecure, you know?
Like, just the tiniest little touch. Next up, we have the PLC playlist, darling. I want to know what's something you're listening to, and we'll add it to our playlist for the girls to listen to while they on set and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Honestly.
And you can pull out your phone because I need to pull out mine too.
Oh, I don't need it. That's how bad I've been listening to this. I am a huge Raye stan. The new Raye album is fantastic.
Raye! I still have to listen to it. What song?
Beautiful. What song would I choose for you all? Now I will pick this out because there's so many good ones. You know what? One theme with this episode, joy. I love the song Joy for so many different reasons. There's call and response from earlier lyrics that are in another song, which is called I Know You're Hurting. But I love Joy because I'm a younger sister, and one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world is my older sister. And Raye's song Joy features her two younger sisters. So they're singing, and there's a lyric in it about her sister saying, I know there's someone out there who's praying for me, which is a callback to the I Know You're Hurting song, where she basically is saying that she's praying for her sister, which is beautiful and lovely and in line with us, prioritizing Black joy and hopefulness. I love any opportunity for us to turn something real tough into something really beautiful. So that would be mine.
If you know me, ain't nothing like a sister. I love my sisters down. Now, if I needed any other kind of marketing to listen to this album, there it is. Thank you so 100%. Much.
I'm so glad. You gotta tell, literally, I kid you not, when you listen to the album, please report back. Please tell me how you feel about it.
Absolutely. I'm very down. So I'm looking up on Spotify right now to see it. I was finna just be honest with y'all, but I don't think Spotify, I was looking at the wrong place. Spotify gotta have it, because I'm like, this honestly don't make no sense. Because what's been in my head all week is the Mulan soundtrack, babes. Yeah. I didn't even listen to it. I'm listening to it in my head. I don't need the soundtrack. I have it in my head. I don't need to play it. I know it by heart.
You know what's so criminal is that the part of the Mulan soundtrack that's not on the actual soundtrack is the track where she cuts her hair, which is a banger.
When I tell you, I'm trying to find the name of the song that I'm singing. Is it a girl? No. Honor to Us All.
Yes.
Honor to Us All. Yes. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. Y'all need to be playing Honor to Us All on set.
And then I'll make a man out of you next.
I'll make a man out of you is number one for me. That's the best song on the entire soundtrack for me.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. There ain't nothing like a Disney soundtrack. Whoever is composing over there, they kill it every time. They kill it every time.
The song, the lyrics? Yeah.
First of all, I'll make a man out of you. That's like a triple entendre, bro. That's a bar in and of itself.
You're chanting "Be a Man" while the only woman
Be a man
is climbing that thing. That is crazy.
What I tell you, Mulan did something for me. I've been a tomboy my whole life. But I tell you, Mulan did something for me. All you little niggas is my sons. The proof is in the pudding.
No. Honestly, I'm going to go and I'm going to watch Mulan after this because
I should.
Literally, I've never related to a Disney princess more. Her need to figure out some discipline and structure. And once she was able to master that, she was unstoppable. Yeah.
Unstoppable.
Need that.
Unstoppable and unclockable. Y'all don't even realize what's happening to you right now.
Nope. And right under their nose.
I'm doing it for the lineage. They don't even understand the work I'm putting in for the lineage.
She said,
Make
this
a
for my
statue.
family, and for the rest of the girlies after me, icon. Filthy.
Girlies and girlies only. Shout out to Mulan. I love her.
I can't wait to watch that. That's gonna make my night.
Thank you so much, Mulan, for all that you've done for all of us, truly. But we're not done yet. We have one last segment, and it's called Shoot Your Shot. This is a segment for us to manifest just for you. I want to know who's somebody you'd love to work for, photograph. It could be a person, a brand, a company. And we can sprinkle a little juju on there to make sure it happen even faster.
This is such a hard question. There's so many. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I got my answer. I'm always out the gate gonna say Beyonce, but I love that little sprinkle of everything that she does. I think is impeccable, incredible. Want to make that happen. Because I'm greedy, I'm also going to say Canon. I would love to be a Canon ambassador because I have photographed on Canon lenses since I started photography.
Yeah.
And I love the color profiles. I love the lenses. I love the workflow. I think it's a great camera system for anyone that especially is trying to start photography to start on. So yeah, it would be those two.
Okay, Canon, I know you're listening. We need ambassadorship for Miss Loren Toney, and we need it now. You already know. You've seen the work. You know she deserves it. Go ahead, throw a couple cameras, a couple lenses, and that check her way. And then Beyonce, about 54, 55 episodes in, half of us have said your name. I know you're getting the messages. Yeah. You're getting the messages.
Pick one of us. If it ain't me, pick another one of us.
Pick us all. We can make the production team. You know, 100%. You need about 2-3 directors. We know how you work, girl. You're dropping all of the videos at once, and we know that. So Loren directing one of them, somebody else directing another. We need more gaffers. Like, the girls do it all over here. Just hire everybody on the motherfucking platform. Put them on set. Thank you so much. We love you, girl. And thank you, Loren. I'm so grateful you could come and join us today. Can you please let the people know where you would like to be found?
I would like to be found at my Instagram, which is at lorens.lens. And if you want to see more of my portfolio work, submit an inquiry, want to work with me, lorentoney.com is a great way to find me. And yeah, in the city of Chicago, if you see me on the street, say hey. But yeah, wait, before I completely sign off though, I want to know who you want to work with.
I mean, obviously Beyonce.
Right.
Beyonce, girl. But that's the obvious one. Nobody has to say that. We all know we all want to work with Beyonce. Right. I want to work with the Food Network. Does the Travel Channel still exist?
I'm not sure, but I get that.
If not, Travel Channel girlies. You know, I don't honestly know who they are anymore, but people like that. I would love to work with a tourism board. Honestly, all of them, but especially places like South America, the Caribbean, especially Jamaica, Puerto Rico. Give me a little Belize. You know, I would love to do something like that with a travel board or a tourism board, excuse me. But I mean, all of them are high on my list, but Food Network or other food channels would be really incredible to me right now.
I love that and could definitely see that for you. The travel photos that you had posted recently where I think you literally were skydiving. Incredible.
Paragliding. I haven't skydived yet.
But I loved those photos.
Thank you. Those are some of my favorite shots I've ever made.
That's so cool. And I want to continue to see you do that a million different times in different ways. If you do skydive, we got to see it.
I would love to skydive. Like, can Jamaica just put me in the sky, please? Please, put me in the sky. I want to be in the sky. but specifically in you. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Well, y'all know y'all can find us anywhere you get your podcast. That's Apple, iHeart, Amazon, all the girlies. But please be sure to follow and subscribe on places like YouTube and Spotify, because that's where you can specifically watch us. And I want y'all to see our beautiful faces and our beautiful work while you get to listen to our beautiful voices. And you can find me also anywhere you get your podcast, but also where you get your pictures. And that's at QURISSY. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.